I'm talking here.
Why don't you try renting out that vacant lot between your ears?
Okay, dokie.
You know what? I'm talking here.
Hello, everyone. Steve Rizzo here, and welcome to Hey, I Am Talking Here. This is an entertaining show about empowerment, about how you can go to a better place personally and professionally. That's a fact. And this show is brought to you by Conversations with Bob, which is my new book that was released, maybe 4 months ago. It's getting wonderful reviews. And if you would like to purchase a copy of the book at yourinnerbob.com. I'm very excited about today's show, and I have a lot of sentiment about today's show because I got to tell you, when I create a show, I have a list of like 30 different titles for the show, maybe 40 different titles. And as we do each show, I cross it off the list. So to pick the next show, what I do is I don't look. I just go down with my finger and I stop wherever my finger stops. That's going to be the title for the next show. And ironically, my finger stopped on today's title, which is Never Give Up. Little did I know that my brother Michael was going to pass away, and he did early this morning. And I had second thoughts about whether I was going to do the show or not, but I figured if I didn't, his spirit would haunt me and he would tell me, do what you got to do. It's just the way he is. He's a Marine and a hero, my hero, biggest inspiration of my life. And he's the reason why I do what I do today. And if there's anybody that exemplifies never giving up, it was him. And we'll talk about him a bit during the show and what it is that certain people have that's instilled in them that just no matter what happens to them, they don't just survive, they thrive. They never, ever give up. Hey, Randy, how you doing, my friend? So without any further ado, though, folks, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for everyone's loyalty for tuning in on this show. We really do appreciate it. And please, 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 please share this. Share this every episode with everyone because, you know, this Facebook thing and YouTube and I have a lot of things against social media, but this is a way, an incredible way to get a message out to help people. And everyone that's on this show, everyone that's a part of this show is on a mission to be a spark that could ignite change in people's lives. And I think the world needs it more now than ever when we are becoming so desensitized. But let me bring up my director and my producer. Bruce, why don't you just show yourself to everyone, please?
Here, I'm actually showing up.
That's it. You can go now. No, stay on. Stay on. How you doing, man?
Good. Yeah, I talked to you earlier this morning. I got the news. Sorry to hear that. But he had a great life. He really held in there. And I know you've talked about your brother numerous times on the show.
Yeah.
And actually, we got a picture of those for those who have never seen your brother.
Yeah.
You know, it was on their Facebook page. So I pulled that up.
Yep.
So that's your brother.
That's him, Mr. Gung Ho Marine. Joined right after high school. Loves his country, loves his family, loves his friends. I don't think there's anyone, and I know a lot of people that has gusto for life more than he has. And with what he went through, every time he tried to achieve something, it's amazing how he made a conscious choice every day to enjoy himself during the process. And that's what separates those who fall under when life throws them a major challenge and those who never give up. There's something within them that propels them to move forward. And
I know we always have a chance to give up.
I'm sorry?
Usually when things start going rough, I guess it was what the saying was, things get tough get going.
Yeah.
But it's so easy to just up and so well. This is working out.
Yeah.
I'm leaving the field, whatever.
Yeah, no, I get it. By the way, your voice is going in and out. It's sort of like a weird delay there. It seems a little fine now, but that's cool. Let's bring up Debbie right now. Debbie, who is my co-host and my
Just dressing for the season.
What the heck?
I just thought Steve needed an extra little something to make him smile today.
But Debbie, trust me, that's not the something.
Yeah, I know. Well, come on now. It's a treat. Isn't that the cutest? Oh my gosh,
No,
but I had to
Deb,
bring
no,
it down because it wouldn't get in the
no, Debbie,
screen.
you are the cutest, and I so much
Oh.
appreciate you. I so much appreciate you. You are just too funny.
All right, have we had enough of this?
No,
See if
that's
the
cool.
wig-
Keep it on. That's funny.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Little surprise there. Ah,
Yeah.
Look,
yeah.
I feel like Bruce.
Nice.
Look.
Yeah, when I do that, you suffer from head hair.
Maybe I ought to put it back on. Gosh, this is such an amazing show, Steve, because you are powering on and powering through, and you know this is what your brother would want to do. And when you said at the beginning, you can hear him saying, "No, do what you got to do."
Yeah.
Like he did for his country and how he powered through all of his injuries and they didn't think he would live. Tell me a little bit. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, my brother is, by the way, again, folks, this is a perfect example of never give up. He's 100% disabled as a result of the Vietnam War. He's the only man in medical history that ever survived that kind of wound. He's in medical books and in journals as someone who beat the odds. 21 feet of his small intestine were either blown out on the battlefield or taken out on the operating table, and other internal organs were damaged as well. And I'll never forget the first time that I saw him in St. Albans Naval Hospital. This was after he was wounded. When he went into the Marines and he went into shape and went through training, he was 168 pounds. He had a perfect body, perfect V shape, just in perfect condition, the typical Marine. And when he got wounded and I saw him in St. Albans Naval Hospital, he went down to 94, 95 pounds. And if it hadn't been for my mom and dad in the room with him, I never would have known it was him. And his in the room with my mom and dad were his three friends from high school. And I remember standing next to my brother, and he was semi-conscious. He was practically in a coma. And a few doctors came in and told my mom and dad the bad news. And I overheard them talking that we're doing everything we can, but it doesn't look good. Don't expect him to live much longer. And I'll never forget the look on my mom and dad's face, and his friends walked out of the room. And I remember staring at my brother, and I was only 17 years old at the time. And I remember thinking, is this going to be the only time I'm going to see him? And something strange was happening. His hand was slowly starting to rise from his side. And I'm thinking, wow, he's supposed to be unconscious here. What's going on? And all of a sudden, he raised his middle finger. And that was his answer to the doctor's diagnosis. And from the raising that finger at that moment, I knew that my brother, Michael John Rizzo, was going to do more than survive. He was going to thrive. And that was the answer he gave doctors every time they told him he couldn't and wouldn't be able to do something. And that was a testament for the name of the show, Never Give Up. No matter what they said to him, no matter what they said, what he could or couldn't do, he would defy it and say, no, I'll show you what I can do. Let's bring all three of us together again, Bruce. Thank you.
Put it back on. The wig wasn't looking right when I.
No, you can keep
But
it
you
on.
know what? Exactly that story about the fist comes up like, and then the middle finger. That is so you. That sounds like something you would do. Like, I'm going to power on in different ways, right? I mean, you have that humor too.
It's a Rizzo trait.
Yeah.
My brother had that attitude, that sense of humor till the day he passed away. And by the way, I want you folks to know something. There was a point last week where he gave up. And I want you all to know that there's a difference between giving up and surrendering. I don't think anyone that I know, and I know a lot of people, I've been all over this planet many times, and I've met some high-end famous people. And there are very few people that live their life according to their authentic self. And my brother did that. And he tried everything. And it was just not even a week before when he told us, I'm not doing this anymore. And he said, I'm sorry, I don't want to give up. And I looked at him and I said, you are not giving up. You're surrendering to a higher part of yourself. This is the Bob part of you, the God part of you that's saying it's time. I said, Michael, your brain and your heart are perfectly clear. They want to stay alive, but your body's telling you you can't do this anymore. And this higher part of you, the whole part of you is saying it's time to let go. That's surrendering. That's not giving up. There's a big difference. I want everyone to know that. There are times when you could just say, you know what, in any relationship,
Mhm.
whether it's a marriage, whether it's a relationship in business, there comes a point where you say, no, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And I'm not going to do this anymore. And we all got it. We all understood it. And we knew it was his time. But his sense of humor was there constantly. As a matter of fact, when my nephew, his son, and my godchild, his daughter, said, Dad, this is a few days before he passed on, said, we want Uncle Steve to give the eulogy. He said, oh, this is oh, okay. Tell him to do 5 minutes. If you just 5 minutes, because you know once he's up on the stage, he won't want to get off. Have you seen his YouTube clips? 5 minutes. Get him off after 5 minutes. Well, you got to laugh at that.
Yeah.
Because that's the stuff you take with you when someone passes on. Because laughter, when you look at someone's memory and you have so many things to laugh at, laughter makes you realize there aren't any goodbyes, there are good memories. And the spirit that constitute who Michael John Rizzo really is lives on forever. And that's our choice. What are you going to focus on when a person passes on like that? Yes, there's time to suffer. That's why when I called you this morning, Debbie, I didn't know if I was going to be able to do the show. Hell, look at my eye. I busted. Which eye is it? Oh yeah,
That one.
where? Look at that. It's,
You blew a gasket.
I blew a gasket. I was crying my eyes out, and my eye popped. I heard it. I heard something. So I popped a vein or something, and I let that happen. But there's always times, even when the family was together this morning, that there's always time for laughter. And Mark Twain said it best: not even fear can stand against the assault of laughter. And it can't. It's one of the greatest gifts that God ever gave us. And when you could do that, that's one of the things that can help you to give up in your life. Whenever you're confronted with a challenge, it's a business opportunity, or you're striving really hard to get something, and it's this close, then all of a sudden, it's not going to happen. And yeah, you can get upset, allow yourself curse, but there's got to be a point where you got to let go of that and shift your way of thinking and shift your focus and find the laughter and the humor in your life somehow, some way. It's not a cure-all, but it places you at the helm so that you can steer the course of your life with equilibrium. And I think that's what's really important. Did I say that word properly?
Equilibrium, yeah.
Equilibrium.
But you know
yeah.
what, Steve, the other thing, and Bruce, is that when the old adage, laughter is the best medicine, it truly is. But it's really sad when people won't allow themselves to be happy when there's a loss. And we've discussed this before, Steve, that there are people who feel guilt to feel happiness, joy, or laughter in the midst of losing someone. After losing someone, there's guilt there. But what do you have to say to people like that? Because you're going to have to remind yourself of that sometimes too, now with this loss.
Well, yeah, especially today. That's a great question, because especially today we are so politically correct where we're stifling our laughter genes, our humor genes. I mean, we really are. And we have to get away from that. And let me make this very clear. Whatever it is that you're going through, whether it's a divorce, whether it's financial difficulties, the death of a loved one, you have to allow yourself time to suffer. Suffering is a gift from God too. It's a great gift. You have to allow, because you're honoring a higher part of yourself that you hurt. And why wouldn't you want to honor a part of who you are? Allow yourself to hurt. Allow yourself to cry, heart-wrenching tears if you have to. That's part of the healing process. But as much as suffering is part of the healing process, just suffering can be avoided. And that's always your choice and your responsibility. And I say that to a lot of people who feel that they have responsibility to their family, you know, that, well, I got to be strong for my children. I got to be strong for my husband. I got to be strong for my wife. I got to be strong for this one, for that one. No, no, you don't. Let them know how you feel. Why would you want to hide your feelings? Why shouldn't your kids know that life is going to throw you a lot of shit? You're going to be confronted with heart-wrenching pain, maybe. I hope not, but the chances are you will be. At some point, death is going to hit a family. And children need to know that there's time for suffering, and that's okay. As a matter of fact, you should honor it to the point where you could feel enough to hurt that much. But just suffering can be avoided, and that's where unleashing the power of your humor being on a daily basis can come in handy. And the more you realize that, the more that becomes a part of who you are.
Yep. A lot of times I'm walking down the street and you see something and just visioning something that could happen and it didn't actually happen. You make yourself laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And my brother had that the whole time. You know, we celebrated he never gives up. We celebrated because we knew his time was up. We didn't know when it was going to be. We had hospice coming in. They came in, you know, throughout the day, checking him and stuff like that. And this past Sunday, we're big football fans, Giant fans, and he insisted on having a party. And it's not that we were having this party to mourn him. We were having a party to celebrate his life. My cousins were there. My cousin Danny flew in from Charlotte, North Carolina. My brother Rocky was there. I was there. My cousin Bobby was there. Family was there. His son was there. His daughter was there. Everyone was there. But my brother couldn't move. He was that incapacitated. He was in his bedroom and they couldn't even get him up out of the bed. And we understood that, but we still partied downstairs. And every now and then, one or two of us would go upstairs, and we would party with him, watching the football game in his room.
Aw,
And
I love that.
yeah, and but even though he was incoherent and didn't know we were there, and it was just 2 days before that, he would have known we were there. But that's how much he declined.
Oh, wow.
But we still insisted we need to enjoy our lives because this is what he would want. That's how you honor him, you know? And I can't tell you in between the game how healing it was. Every now and then someone would tell a story about something ridiculous or funny that he would do. And might I say that he was the craziest one out of all of us. He was insane. He defied life so many times with the things that he did. And, you know, his body just started falling apart slowly but surely. And then eventually he lost his eyesight. You know, he only had 90% of his eyesight was missing. And he couldn't get surgery because the doctor wouldn't allow it because that would have ended him right away because his body wouldn't have been able to withstand the surgery. So I had to be his narrator when we were watching football games the past month. And when I watch a football game, I can't help it. I curse at the TV. I get loud and I'm very emotional.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the TV, the fucking idiot, and I'm talking to my brother. He dropped the pass again. The fucking idiot dropped the pass. And he goes, will you shut the fuck up? I said, I'm giving you the play-by-play. He said, don't be such a pussy for crying out loud. And don't be so negative. And we both started laughing. It's
I think you have another career as a color commentator.
I'm sorry?
You can do color commentating on network TV with that.
Color commentating.
Yeah, and that's another thing we said to each other. I said, Mike, could you imagine if you and I were commentators? I said, we'd be thrown off the air immediately.
Oh, my gosh. You'd be in the blooper reel for sure.
Yeah. But
you know what I want to bring up, though, that 6 years ago, and I was just looking it up to make sure I had the name correct, because on your YouTube channel, Steve Rizzo, you had done 6 years ago a speech, a bit about the ultimate success story. And it's all about your brother, Michael, and how he has been the biggest inspiration to you in your life.
Yeah.
And to our viewers, I've watched it. I've listened to it a couple of times. And what I love about that, Steve, is the fact that that was like a living eulogy for him. 6 years ago. So he knew every little thing. And you know, you're an expressive guy, so I'm sure he knew anyway. But for you to do it publicly like that, and anyone can just go on your YouTube station and watch that. It's so worth it. And it just makes me feel like I want to do something like that for someone that's my biggest inspiration and someone I love, because that will be there forever.
Yeah,
And
I
he got to
totally,
enjoy it.
yeah, that's just it. Yeah, I so much appreciate you doing that. And like I said, he's the biggest inspiration of my life, and it's because of him that I was really able to write this book unconsciously. His life, the common sense success strategies that Bob offers Bernie in this book, are the very strategies that my brother innately used. He tapped into that higher without him even realizing it.
Yeah.
He tapped into parts of himself that helped him never to give up, to persevere, even though life was throwing shit after him, one thing after another. And he did more than just survive. He did thrive. When he got out of the hospital after 7 months, he said he was going to go to college, and we didn't think he'd be able to do it. We thought it would hurt him emotionally, spiritually, mentally, but not to mention what he was going through physically. He did go. He was 95 pounds, and he went to college, graduated with honors, had degrees in education, history, administration, went back to the same school that he graduated from, the same school. And he became a history teacher, an attendance officer, and assistant principal, then principal. Then they made him assistant superintendent of the entire school system. Then they wanted to make him superintendent, but he said, no, I had enough, and he retired. And he did that by implementing these strategies in the book. And I was unaware, but when I studied him through so many years, innately something told me to just watch the way this man lives, and it was his sense of humor. It was his thought process. And you folks heard me talk about the power of
Mhm.
your thoughts. Your thoughts
Oh,
create
yeah.
your life. He refused to let negative thinking take control of him, because somehow he knew that those thoughts were going to solidify his belief system and create the attitude that he had. And I studied that, and that's what's in this book.
But also, we can't forget this part, which is every time I think about it, it gives me chills. Tell everyone what happened when he decided he was going to go to college and he thought maybe you were going down the wrong path.
Oh, I was going down the wrong path. I was hanging out with the wrong crowd. He knew I was lost. We had this conversation. I had no idea what I was going to do with my life. And it he came up to me one day, and he was in college for about a year. Yeah, a year. And he was just starting his next semester. And he didn't ask me. He approached me. He came up to me. We were talking, and he said, Steve, he goes, I'm going back to school on Monday, and you're going to come with me. I said, what do you mean? He goes, no big deal. I just want you to come with me. I want you to sit in my classrooms with me. I want you to do this for 2 weeks. I'll drive you there and I'll drive you back. Just sit in my classrooms. I want you to see what it's like. I said, Mike, I don't know if I want to do that. And he goes, well, let me put it another way. He goes, I'm not asking you. I'm telling you, you're coming with me. And of course I said, okay. And I went with him, and I'm sitting there, and I'm feeling very comfortable after the first week there. And I'm going to all his classes. And then after the second week, I noticed we're walking to the administrative building, and I'm wondering where the hell we're going. I said, where are we going? He goes, we're going to the administration building. I said, why? He goes, because I'm going to sign you up for next semester. I said, oh, no, you're not. I said, I'm not going. And I got really emotional, because you're looking at someone, and you guys know this story. I was told by a guidance counselor I wasn't smart enough to go to college. I was voted least likely to succeed in my senior class in high school. And I said, I can't do this. I'm not smart enough to go to college. He said, you're going to do it. He signed me up for 4 classes: English, history, a music class, and art. He didn't want to overwhelm me. And he said, you need to go. And I went. And the first week was not easy, but then all of a sudden something clicked, and I got into the groove. And that was the transformation taking place in my life. I graduated with high honors in English, in education, a minor in psychology, a major in theater arts. I went back to the same school that he graduated from, and I taught English, and I was a counselor for kids with behavioral problems. From there, I became a stand-up comedian. From there, I became a Hall of Fame motivational speaker. And I owe that all to him, all to someone who never gave up. And because of him, I never gave up.
Mm,
Yep.
powerful. Those Rizzo brothers are coming back to school. Look out, folks. You
Yeah.
both went back to the school you guys graduated from to teach and to do guidance and all
Yep.
that. Wow.
You know, and I also believe my brother Rocky, who's younger, who is smarter than Michael and I put together. He has an incredibly high IQ, and he's funnier than me, believe it or not. My brother and Michael both agreed a week before he passed away that my brother Rocky is funnier than me. And he is. He is. And I
He
believe,
also must like to fight with that nickname.
yeah, well, that's why we called him Rocky. My father nicknamed him Rocky because he was always getting into fights. And he's a little shorter than I am, but he wasn't afraid of anything or anybody. But even when I'm not going to bring up what he was going through in his life, but when he was going through some tough times, my brother Michael went to see him by himself to check him out, to see how he was doing, to make sure that he was getting his act cleaned up. And I believe a big part of Michael was instilled in Rocky for him to get his life together too.
Mm-hmm.
And
Is
that's my
Michael
cousin
the
Danny
oldest?
here. Steve drove a car into the
School for kicks.
school for kicks. So that's a
Now
little.
he calls you Danny. Do you call him Stevie?
No, he doesn't. He just calls me Steve.
This calls me Steve.
He goes, Cousin
But
Steve. He calls me Cousin Steve.
cousin Steve. But I mean, the fact that you both went back and taught at the school that you were told you would never really succeed.
Yeah.
That's cool. But is Michael the oldest
He's 4 years older than I am.
and older than Rocky?
Yeah, Rocky's 2 years younger than I am.
Okay, wow. So Michael took this big brother thing seriously. He straightened you guys out.
He took the big brother thing not only to us, to his students. You should see the accolade. You should see the honors that people are giving him on Facebook. I just made the mention, as you know, on Facebook that, he passed away and blah, blah, blah. And within not even 3 minutes, there were over 100 comments. And now there's got to be
Over
I don't
300,
know.
I think.
No, I think it's more than that now. And I'm sure there'll be more, not to mention the comments that are on my nephew's page and all the other people that created their own page. And he's just he never gave up. And
Well, the part
I'm
of
sorry.
this that's so incredible is that he could have given up right after that huge injury in war.
Yeah,
But he lived an incredibly successful life after that, when a lot of people would have given up.
he didn't allow the diagnosis. He didn't allow he didn't allow what the doctors were saying. Another incident that happened, which overwhelmed me. Like I said, he was in the hospital for 7 months. And when doctors started realizing that, hey, this guy is surviving in spite of the odds, I was there late in the afternoon once with his friend, his best friend, Tony Cannizzaro. May he rest in peace. I miss him tremendously. And my mom and dad, who were there every single day, decided to take an early dinner break. So Tony and I were there alone. Hey, Bruce, can you put us all together? I like talking to you two guys. It just makes it easier for me. Thank you. And the rules from the doctors were, Michael, you're not allowed to eat solid foods. I want you to make sure you do not eat solid foods. And he told all of us, do not bring him solid foods. We didn't listen. We always brought him slices of pizza, sandwiches, and he would devour it. But it would come right out right away because he only had one foot of small intestine. But his attitude was, I'm going to eat a bowl of pasta and a couple of meatballs, even if I have to sit on a toilet while I'm eating it.
Goes in, comes out.
So one particular day, Tony and I were there by ourselves, and Tony brought in this big friggin' meatball hero. And he gives it to Michael, and he's devouring it. And as he's eating it, 3 doctors walk in to see how he's doing with their writing pads. And Michael's still eating it. And Michael goes, here we go. And these doctors gave it to him. And they said, I can't believe you're doing this. Don't you understand? We're trying to help you. Are we wasting our time? Don't you understand? You're not supposed to be eating solid foods. And he's looking at us. He's yelling at us. And he looks at my brother. 21 feet of your intestine were blown out on the battlefield or taken out on the operating table. And my brother, in the middle of this, you can see him getting pissed off with all the ounce of energy that he had. He took the meatball hurl and he hurled it at the doctor, hit him square in the chest, meatball sauce and meatballs all over the guy. He goes, "You want to know what your problem is? You guys keep reminding me that 21 feet of my small intestine are missing, and I'm trying to focus on and live on the 1 foot that I have left." He goes, "From now on, we're doing it my way." He said, "Now get the fuck out of here." And they left. We just looked at him, and he finished the little sauce that he had left on his fingers. Most of it was on the doctor. So I'm looking at Tony. Tony's looking at me. And then my mom and dad come in. About an hour later, one of the doctors came in, sat down on the edge of the bed, touched my brother on the leg and said, "You know what? You might have something there. Let's work together on this." And that was, again,
In the book.
That was him. Yeah. That
In
was
the book.
him not, yeah, that's him not giving up.
Yeah.
Not, don't tell me what I can and can't do.
Yeah.
And it was his thought process, the thoughts that he had about his challenge. He very rarely said, "Why me?" Isn't that what most people say? Isn't that what most people say, Deb and Bruce, when you're confronted, things aren't working in your life? "Why does this happen to me?" As soon as you do that, you're opening up the door for the negatives, to the negative zone, and you're allowing more like thoughts to come into play. Those thoughts are going to solidify an already negative belief system. Those thoughts and beliefs will cause you to feel like shit. Those thoughts.
So you got to eat the meatballs.
You got to eat the meatballs. Yeah. And those thoughts, beliefs, and feelings will give you a certain attitude, and that all leads to the actions that you take.
Yeah.
And he was acutely, intuitively aware of that. And that's how he was able to thrive instead of survive and defy what everyone said he couldn't do. And he was so
there's a whole religion.
Excuse me?
Scientists believe more in faith than in doctors. And, and my roommate in college was a Christian Scientist, and he would actually go through rituals and heal himself through prayer.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think what I was, I agree, Bruce, to an extent, because we do have to always make sure, these doctors are, I believe, in their calling, what they've been called to do, and they have the ability and the education to help us understand how we can make ourselves better. But when I was listening to Steve talk about Michael, something did kind of click in my head. It's still, we have to be an advocate for our health. And we're going to know what's best for us with doctor, try to get a balance there is what I'm trying to say. He wanted to get better, of course, and he was in the hospital for that reason. But he decided, I'm going to eat what sounds good, what I think my body wants, and I'm going to enjoy it. And he did. And his perspective was, I'm thinking about what I have left, not about what I lost.
Exactly.
Never give up. And so with that balance of positivity plus maybe a little meatballs here and there, whatever. But he did what he needed to do to get well. That's incredible.
Yeah. That's so well said, Deb, but you want to know, I'm thinking as you two were talking, there's something here. He was never really a religious person. He very rarely mentioned God, but yet he lived in accordance to the law of attraction. He might not have been aware of it. You don't have to be aware of it, because if you're doing it, the law works. That's
right. A lot of people aren't aware that they're not in it. That they're pushing the attraction away.
Exactly. But he did what is needed. He focused on what was working.
Yeah.
He intuitively knew somehow that the more you focus on your lack, the more of that you're going to get back. He defied all that.
He knew it.
If you read quotes from the Bible about belief, about what all the apostles said and what Jesus said in the Bible, it's all about your thought process. It's all about belief. Jesus couldn't even heal unless the person that he was healing believed that it could be done. Yes. And he believed in himself. So actually he was so unaware that he was connected to the God factor, or the Bob factor, as I would call it from my book. And his life prospered as a result, which is proof that the law of attraction does work. You don't even have to be aware that you're implementing the strategies that constitute the law of attraction, but that's what he was doing.
So true.
Every step along the way. Can we read some of the comments? Oh, this is who I wanted. I'm so sorry to hear that, Steve. God bless you and your family. May your brother Michael rest in peace and may his strength live on. Thank you, Mother Mary. I so much appreciate you. And I
Mother
know you know that.
Marie.
Huh?
Oh,
Yeah.
Mother Marie. That just sounds pretty.
Yeah,
Mother
of course
Marie.
it does. Yeah.
Mother Marie.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of comments and a lot of people piping in, but I know you want to show word according to Bob.
Oh, yeah. We want to show you one of my videos, The Word According to Bob.
I love these.
Thank you, Ken, for sharing. And
And thank
for
you. We
those,
love you too, Ken.
yeah, we do, Ken, tremendously. But folks, this is a video that I've done. Some of you seen some of them. And I just want you to know a little introduction to this. When you listen to this video, this epitomizes who Michael John Rizzo is. One of the most important lessons that I learned from living on this planet is what truly successful, happy, optimistic people know about life. That they will experience good times and bad times, that they will have sad days and ecstatic moments, that nothing in life is permanent, and that success and happiness depends on their ability to ride the waves of change with equanimity. Successful, happy, optimistic people are not exempt from the trials and tribulations of life, my friends. In fact, some had to overcome incredible circumstances to get to where they are today. But they have this one thing in common, this uncanny ability to shift their focus and their way of thinking to connect to a higher part of themselves, especially when times are tough. That is to say that they allow themselves to temporarily step away from those moments that are bringing them down or causing them some kind of pain. And they gradually begin to focus on aspects of their lives that bring them joy and lift their spirits. They feel blessed for the things that life has given them rather than cursing what life is currently throwing at them. And I really admire the way that they find the laughter during the tough times. And it's not a question of putting blinders on or ignoring that they're going through a difficult time, but rather they instinctively know when to shift their mindsets to something that will put them on a more productive path. And in reality, hey, we all have the power to do this. And it's what I call a power shift in focus. Now, being able to create this power shift and focus is one habit that can have a tremendous impact on your life. Why? Because when you allow yourself to temporarily step away from a challenging situation, and then you steer your attention to something that gradually makes you feel better, you're replenishing your spirit, you're nourishing your soul. Hey, that's the very essence of who you are. You're recharging your inner battery with the emotional fortitude needed to forge ahead. Listen, you can't stop life from throwing stuff at you. You can't stop the unexpected from interfering with your goals and your dreams. But you could always choose how to respond. You can always choose to shift to a healthier mindset when unwanted things happen. People who are happy, successful, and optimistic know that no matter what happens, life still goes on. And they can choose to focus on the things that empower them. They refuse to give up their right to enjoy life. And guess what? So can you. And that, my friends, is the word according to Bob.
That was wonderful. I especially liked that one.
Bob is wonderful. You guys are wonderful. I appreciate both of you for giving me the courage to do this show.
Let's read what Dan says. Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, please.
Michael is our family's hero. Always was and always will be. I love you, Steve, and Michael live on in all of us.
Thank you, Dan.
We have
Thank
more
you, Dan.
comments here.
Yeah. So, Robert, I'm so sorry I forgot your name last night. Believe in yourself. Robert says that is why it takes two in agreement, two believing anything is possible. We are made in the Creator's image with all those abilities. If you understand that faith requires regular exercise too.
Yeah, that's well said. And Pat Lewis, thank you for saying that. Pat is a friend of mine that goes to my very famous and very I frequently go there. My favorite place to go, Francesco's Italian restaurant. And
It was so
Pat
nice
does,
of Ken to share this out too.
yeah,
Pat Lewis says, I'm sure he knew you were all there. You
yeah,
should be very proud of what you did for him. I believe that too, Pat. I think that even though you felt like he was kind of incoherent during that football game,
yeah.
he knew.
Well,
They say that's the last thing that goes is the hearing.
yeah, I know that too. And I'll tell you something else a little funny. When I spent time with him, this was yesterday, and he passed away this morning. And I was talking to him, telling him how much I cared for him and how much I loved him. And I give him a kiss on the forehead, and I went to leave, and I tripped on the chair and I fell on the floor. And I swear, in me, I heard his voice say, "Asshole." I swear, I knew. It had to have been him. I didn't hear verbal. I knew it though. It was him going, "Asshole." And I walked out of the room laughing. Everyone thought I was crying when I walked out of the room, but I was laughing.
Oh my gosh.
Probably
I
in the
know.
future, you're gonna do stuff like that. You can still hear his voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'll be talking to him. I want everyone to know this. I talk to people in my life who have passed on. I always do. I have conversations. And I talk like I'm talking to you folks right now. And the answer always comes. It might not come in a voice. If it does come in a voice, you might want to seek help. But it comes in other ways. And it might not come immediately. It comes in a way of watching a movie, a line that somebody says, or a particular smell that you smell, or a sign on a bumper sticker, or a bumper sticker, or a billboard, or maybe a song that you hear, or two strangers saying something, or just a feeling. When you get that, you have to be aware of it. When you feel that, just acknowledge that it reminds you of that person, that, wow, he was listening to you talk. And the more you do that, the more that part of you becomes a part of who you are.
I love this. This is going to help a lot of people. And especially, I've been really thinking about people over the holidays that have losses or that are sad about things or whatever, but especially for those who have lost loved ones and they are grieving so badly. Open yourself up to receive messages like that,
Yeah.
because it will feel so good. And exactly what you said you do is such a great tip to help people that wouldn't otherwise have thought to do that.
Yeah. And for anyone here, anyone listening, thinks that there isn't more to our life than what you think, you're cheating yourself. You're cheating yourself. There's a whole realm out there that we know nothing about. And I believe imagination has a lot to do with what you create. And when I talk to my mom and dad, sometimes they come to me in a dream. Sometimes it just comes to me in a feeling. When I say thank you, I know you're listening and I appreciate it. Like I said, in a song, a smell, whatever it is, somebody could be wearing something that reminds me of them. I know that they were listening to what I was saying.
Yeah. Or somebody will say something and you're like, my mom used to say that, and that's a gift.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And I know you have to go soon, Deb, but by the way, before you go, send me the link to Ken's thing so I could tune in.
Okay.
I will. Email it to me if you can. I would appreciate that.
I will do that. I will do that.
And I know you got to go now, and know that thank you, because you were the first one I called this morning, and you just gave me the confidence to know I can do this. And Bruce, you were the second one I called, and you, as I was talking to both of you, I said, you know what, I can do this. Thank you both. I love you both.
You got it. I love you back.
And Bruce, let's just end the show now. I think this is a perfect time.
I'll just wait then.
Who commented? If we didn't get to your comments, I can always respond to them in the chat.
Yes. And I'm sorry for those I didn't respond to all your comments, but I will tomorrow, as soon as I answer the 10,000 emails that I'll be getting from people.
Yep.
I love you guys. Thanks a lot. And I love you all. Thank you for listening. Please share this with friends and family.
Thank
People you hate.
And
see you later.
no.